Wild boars are not only known for foraging in forests, but also for their impact on agriculture and rural life. In various regions, these animals have caused significant damage to crops, posing challenges to local communities and disrupting the natural balance. Adapted to harsh environments, wild boars thrive in extreme conditions, testing the limits of human response. However, experienced hunters, prepared for both freezing cold and intense heat, persist with discipline and precision in areas where resilience is essential. In the icy wilderness of France, one hunting team conducted a methodical operation across snow-covered terrain. Early in the morning, the group moved quietly into position within a dense, frozen forest. With visibility limited and movement hindered by snow, careful observation was essential. Suddenly, a herd of wild boars emerged, advancing in a structured line. A large individual estimated to be the dominant boar became the primary target. A single, accurate shot brought it down instantly, prompting the rest of the herd to scatter. Another boar was taken down just before the group disappeared into the forest's depths. The initial engagement showcased the importance of timing, precision, and patience. Using tracking signals, the team identified another cluster of activity. Anticipating the herd's path, they relocated to a nearby ambush point. Their predictions proved correct as the animals reappeared, pushing through snow-laden shrubs. Coordinated gunfire followed, resulting in a clean and efficient takedown of multiple individuals. The white snow was soon marked by still bodies, evidence of a successful operation. Elsewhere, another hunter spotted movement between tree trunks. A wild boar was attempting to move undetected, but a well-placed shot brought it down before it could flee. Gunfire from other team members soon followed, confirming additional successful engagements. The wild boars that once threatened the area were swiftly neutralized, returning calm to the mountainous terrain. Meanwhile, on the rugged hills of Morocco, another operation unfolded. A team had reached the area early and deployed across strategic points. A trained group of hounds was released to follow the scent trail of nearby animals. Within minutes, a signal indicated the presence of prey. A wild boar appeared, cutting across the landscape at high speed. Reacting quickly, the team opened fire, preventing its escape. Continuing along the hillside, a hunter scanned with binoculars and identified another target, a large boar navigating the brush on the opposite slope. Waiting for a clear line of sight, the hunter fired with precision, stopping the animal instantly. In a nearby location, another hunter encountered a wild boar charging through dense vegetation. A shot was fired just as it burst through the underbrush, bringing it down without delay. These careful and coordinated responses demonstrated both the dangers posed by wild boars and the effectiveness of experienced teams in minimizing risk to both agriculture and residents. This ongoing effort resembles a cinematic narrative, each frame representing tense, high-stakes moments in remote landscapes. The objective remains the same: to protect crops and preserve rural safety from the disturbances caused by wild boar populations. On another continent, a team operating in the early morning hours of an African reserve had already positioned itself by 6 a.m. Amid the silence, a rustling sound from nearby foliage alerted them. A wild boar cautiously emerged, scanning the area. One marksman took swift and decisive action, firing a well-aimed shot that ended the animal's movement immediately. The encounter reflected calm preparation and effective execution. Not far from this site, another group arrived via off-road vehicles and took position behind a rocky formation. Watching the opposing slope, they identified a wild boar foraging in the distance. Once it entered the clear, the designated marksman locked onto the target. A cold, precise shot was fired, demonstrating a consistent pattern of strategy and control. Another wild boar was swiftly brought down, neutralizing a threat before it could reach the nearby farmland. Hunting wild boars on exposed hillsides poses a unique challenge. The clear visibility can be advantageous, yet any slight misstep risks losing the trail completely. In one such case, a highly experienced hunter from Eastern Europe navigated the slope with caution, using binoculars to scan the pre-marked area for signs of movement. The region's wild boars, particularly those native to Central European forests, are known for their intelligence, heightened awareness, and ability to quickly retreat. Suddenly, a shape emerged from the underbrush, a wild animal bolting into view. Without hesitation, the hunter assumed position. A series of carefully timed shots followed, each one measured and deliberate, eventually stopping the boar in its track. It was a display of focus and composure under pressure, showcasing the discipline required in wildlife control operations. Elsewhere, on a grassy expanse near the Sierra Moraine forest, another coordinated effort was underway. A group of trackers had positioned themselves from early morning, aided by trained dogs that began following the faint trails left by the animals. It wasn't long before a sharp bark signaled the presence of a target. The team responded quickly. A wild boar suddenly charged from the brush. The shooter remained calm, aimed steadily, and fired. The result was swift and effective, another incident averted. Further south, near Hordo Bay in the GI region, a separate operation unfolded during twilight. A coordinated ambush was set across a rice field to prevent escape routes. At one checkpoint, heightened barking indicated nearby activity. As tension rose, a large boar broke from the cover of tall crops, attempting to cross into the adjacent field. Gunfire erupted in response, effectively halting its movement. These boars are known to damage crops, disrupt livestock, and cause significant financial losses. As a result, various methods including aerial monitoring are sometimes employed to manage populations in areas that are otherwise inaccessible. In particularly rugged regions, helicopters provide a vantage point to monitor movement and respond to threats. From the sky, precision and timing are critical. When signs of activity were spotted near a plowed field, aircraft descended to facilitate intervention. Within minutes, wild boars were visible along the field's edge. Ground personnel began a pursuit from the air. Trained marksmen, supported by coordinated piloting, fired with measured bursts, targeting only when conditions allowed for accurate engagement. The result was the effective dispersal and containment of the herd. In another aerial operation, a helicopter team circled above a disturbed area. As the boars scattered in a frantic attempt to escape, the marksman on board remained composed. Tracking their movement, he delivered accurate shots that brought the animals down one by one. These coordinated actions both on the ground and from the air highlight the ongoing efforts to manage wild boar populations. In some regions, the presence of these animals has led to widespread agricultural damage and ecosystem imbalance. Helicopter-assisted tracking allows for rapid response in remote landscapes. Teams operate with high levels of coordination, working closely with pilots to anticipate movement and act swiftly. In one sweep, as the herd began to regroup, aircraft moved in once more. The animals scattered, but the team's strategy left little room for escape. With synchronized efforts, the threat to the fields was again brought under control. Gunfire was heard in a series of controlled bursts across the recently harvested field. Within moments, the wild boars lay still. Overhead, a helicopter adjusted its position to offer a clear vantage point for observation. Across various regions of South America, measures are actively taken to manage the wild boar population. These animals, known for their destructive behavior, often threaten agriculture and local ecosystems. From dense jungles to open savannas, such efforts aim to restore ecological balance where these animals have become overly abundant. In one of the more affected areas, a wildlife control team arrived at dawn, prepared with coordinated plans. Upon reaching the designated site, they quickly moved into pre-assigned positions to begin their monitoring efforts. Not long after, a large wild boar was spotted, moving silently through the trees. A precise shot was fired, halting the animal before it could flee. Moments later, additional sounds echoed through the forest, signaling further success in the operation. Each action taken was part of a larger strategy to reduce threats to nearby farmland and natural habitats. In another zone, a second group advanced carefully through dense undergrowth. Their trained dogs helped track subtle movements left by the animals. Suddenly, a large boar with sharp tusks emerged from the brush. The response was immediate, calm, focused, and effective. Within seconds, the animal was neutralized, preventing possible harm to the nearby community. Meanwhile, deeper in the forests of Paraguay, another quiet pursuit was underway. A team moved cautiously through one of the region's thickest jungles. Without warning, a wild boar came charging toward one of the trackers. Maintaining composure, the response was both swift and accurate. A single action brought the situation under control. Such instances highlight not only the need for vigilance, but also the high level of coordination required in these wildlife interventions. In many areas, wild boars are fast, elusive, and can cause serious damage if left unmanaged. Open landscapes can pose an even greater challenge. In the rural regions of Uruguay, a team was tasked with addressing a group of wild boars that had repeatedly disturbed local farmland, traveling by truck along dusty back roads. The team reached the designated zone and quickly took position behind natural cover. Patience was essential. These animals are highly sensitive to sound and can disappear quickly at the slightest disturbance. Eventually, one appeared, cautiously surveying the area. Step by step, the team monitored its movement. Once in range, action was taken decisively. A few controlled shots were enough to bring the situation to a close. These operations, conducted across forests and farmlands alike, are vital in maintaining the balance between wildlife and human activity. By using careful tracking, strategic planning, and non-invasive methods wherever possible, teams work toward reducing risks and preserving the surrounding environment.